Hey class, happy Thursday. Wish I was with you guys today. Again, I'm in class the rest of the week, so I'm going to be doing my lectures online. I have a special partner, as you can see. This is Trey, my son, and it's early in the morning and he's pretty antsy, so if you see him moving around or acting weird, that's my son, and he's awake early. Alright, so anyway, back to the lecture. So this chapter 55, it's about ecosystems, and what I want to do is, obviously I want you guys to learn, but I also don't want to make a really, really long video, where it's sort of so much information that it defeats the purpose or it degrades the learning process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split up this video for chapter 55 in 4 videos. That way, one, it's easier for you to, grasp it in smaller chunks. And also, like, if ever you get a standard wrong or you need to review a standard, each standard has its own video, and you can review just that video, not the whole 30-minute video. So I don't plan on these videos being very long. I'm sorry in advance if you find it boring, but I'll try, and I want you guys to understand very well. So this is the first video, standard, and I'm labeling my standards down by words. So this is standards ecosystems 1. This standard is saying, what are the physical laws of ecosystems, or fundamentally, what is the laws that govern ecosystems? What defines an ecosystem? So hopefully you have your notes so you can fill out these ones. If you don't have them, I know I only had some of them. There should be some on the desk, sister's desk, to pass out for the rest of the class. So an ecosystem, if you don't know what it is, it's the sum of all organisms living and non-living. So things that are called living, they call that biotic. And those, bio, the prefix means life, and abiotic meaning not living, and the abiotic factors which would interact. So the ecosystem, the sum of everything of living and non-living things in this community. There's 2 unique processes that define an ecosystem. Energy flow, which is only one way, and chemical cycling, which is obviously the term cycle means it goes around. It's not just one way. Energy flow is one way. Chemicals cycle in a circle. So what do you mean by energy flows one way, Mr. Salmingo? Well, let me tell you. Energy, all the energy in the world comes from one, eventually if you trace it back, comes from one source, which is the sun. The sun goes to primary producers, which are plants primarily. These primary producers, like plants, are eaten by primary consumers. It can be us as humans or other animals, which are then eaten by secondary consumers. These secondary consumers are then the producers, the consumers, the secondary, tertiary consumers, they could all be, devoured eventually, when we die or whatever, by detritus or decomposers. You may have heard of them. And they go into other microorganisms and other detritivores, and this is this one-way flow. And eventually, all the energy either leaves as heat, energy is no longer used, it's heat, or it sort of dies into the ground. Energy flows only one way, into the ground, or, off into the atmosphere as heat, and we could never capture it again. Chemicals are different. They cycle. So once, detritus or decomposers sort of eat these chemicals, these chemicals can then be re-eaten by plants, which are then eaten by consumers. So notice the difference between blue and orange arrows. Energy flows one way, into the ground or as heat. Chemicals and nutrients, they cycle almost forever. So just to repeat, energy flow cannot be recycled. Okay? Once you use it, you lose it. The terms that you need to know, one's called autotrophs. These are what they call self-feeders or plants. Auto meaning, you heard of like automatic, automobile. They sort of drive themselves, or it does it by itself. So self-feeders, they don't need to feed themselves. They're fed by the sun. Autotrophs. And trophic, remember, meaning energy. Auto energy. Primary producers and their photosynthetic plants, or those that are sort of marine environments, they use algae. They use light energy to synthesize sugars, so they use light to make sugars and other organic compounds. The opposites, the complementary to autotrophs, is called heterotrophs, or other feeders. They can't make their own food, and they rely on other heterotrophs, or they eat the autotrophs. Heterotrophs are at trophic levels above the primary producers. So this is a reverse diagram from the last one we saw. So secondary consumers, they eat primary consumers, which eat primary producers, which get their energy from the sun. And again, same thing, all the energy flows one way into the ground, either by decomposers or microorganisms, and then it just stays there as heat, or is just stuck into the ground. Herbivores, that they only eat plants or also eat plants, they are primary consumers. Carnivores that eat herbivores are called secondary consumers. And then carnivores that eat secondary consumers are called tertiary. I think you guys know what secondary means. I'm pretty sure you're bright enough, tertiary means like third consumers. And then the other important group, one that's always forgotten in this cycle or flow, is called detritivores or decomposers. They get energy from detritus. So some of you are saying, what do you mean by detritus? Like I've heard of decomposers before. Once tertiary consumers die and they're in the ground, they turn this energy that we once had and convert it into something called detritus. It's a non-living organic material, and they play a role in material cycling, and also they end the energy flow. And the last slide for this standard, if you don't know what decomposers are, here's a picture of some examples. Fungi, fungi, it's a fun guy. And prokaryotes, which are organisms that don't have a nucleus. So we'll study this, or it should be reviewed from when you took bio, but eukaryotes are those with a nucleus. Prokaryotes are bacteria that have no nucleus. So that is the standard on the physical laws of ecosystems. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.